In today's matchday vlog, Walsall travelled up by coach to play Matlock Rugby Club. Earlier on in the season, Walsall got the 50-29 victory over Matlock at home, but we knew it was going to be a much harder challenge away. This game was extremely close with lots of action that went to the full 80 minutes. So I had film on morning, but for some reason the SD card had corrupted, so I'd only got a few clips. We got on the coach and... there's always one person that's late. And we headed up to Matlock, and on the way we watched the girls' football game and she's through on goal.
You've got to score that!
Come on!
You have to score that!
You're paying the big bucks and you missed it!
So in today's squad lineup, we've got a very strong team going against Matlock away. So in the front row today, we've got Ben Cooper, Rich Wilson and Simon Weaver. In the second row, we've got Callum Hoy and Lucas Cottrell. And then in the back row, we've got Corey Selby, James Tamilio and George Perkins at 8. And then in the backs today, we've got Mitch Carlos at 9, Ben Pitt at 10, Adam Nunny and Rob Angel in the centres, me and Dan Carpenter on the wings, and Hanson Christopherson at fullback. Just before we get into the game, guys, can I ask you a massive favour? If you can go down and make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'm going to set a massive goal of, can we get 2,000 likes on this video? You have no idea how much it helps me and motivates me to make more of these videos. Right, so kicking off into the first half, Matlock here with an early line out, which Walsall defend pretty well. Matlock then taking that into the centre of the field, and here with an early tackle there from Rob, which leaded back to a penalty. They did try and spread it wide, but the ref called it back for a penalty for no arms, which, if you just watch this back again, I think that was pretty harsh, but they kick to the corner, then they go with the line out, a good catch and drive, and Walsall just defending there on the line, more bodies in. I even put my head in, this is the first time I've been in them all, and then they do get over the line, but Walsall managed to hold that up. So Walsall with a goal line drop now, just goes into one of their centres, who then runs that back in. He takes that in, and some big tackles there from the boys, and then they do go to spread it wider, the 5 into their 10, but it does get knocked on by Hanson as he tries to intercept, which was a penalty, so they kick to the corner. Then with the line out, literally about 10 metres out now, they go with the catch and drive. They do spin out of the maul, but some great defence from Walsall here. They do manage to get the turnover. Cal Hoy secures it, and then Ben gives it to Lucas. Lucas into Hanson. Hanson then finds a gap, steps inside, ducks under the tackle, gives it into me. I give it into Rob. Rob then running inside, gives it to Mitch. Mitch is looking around, but does get tackled there. But a great turnover from Walsall. Ball then comes out to George. George taking that into the middle, trying to get some phases now. Comes back on the jacket. Ben gives that to Nunny, but then the ball is loose, and we go back for a penalty, which Mitch goes for the kick, and he gets the first 3 points of the game. So Walsall with a good start to get some points on the board, and straight from kick-off again, George running down on the wing, getting through a few players there. Ben gives that back inside to Nunny, into Rob, and then we go with a little chip over the top. A great kick there from Ben to put them under pressure, and their 15 gets that. He then sends it back, Ben with a lovely catch, but then Ben deciding to run it himself, steps through a few of their players, gets the offload to Bash. Bash then gives it into Hanson. Hanson steps inside, gets another offload into Cooper, and Walsall really doing well in open play here. Mitch then going on his own, gets caught up into traffic. Callum Hoy with a carry, Ben Cooper with another pick and go. Then the ball comes out to Nunny. Nunny takes that in himself. He's dragging 3 of their players with him. Then it comes out to Ben. Ben spreads it, but they do try to intercept, which is another penalty. Mitch goes for the kick, but unfortunately does miss that one. Ball then comes back in our half into Ben. Ben spreads that really nice and wide into Hanson. Hanson steps back inside, gives it into me, and I'll just take that ball in. Then it comes out into George. George crashes that ball in, and then it comes wide again. Ben with a lovely little stab through into their 15. The 15 then puts it nice and high back into our half, which Ben easily catches that. Ben puts another kick through. It's a bit of a kicking game here into their 11. 11 then goes for a run, comes out into their 10, but great tackle there. Then they force the kick, they put it up nice and high. Hanson under pressure catches that, then spreads it back into Dan Carpenter. Dan then steps on the outside, spins out one of the tackles, gets caught there. Then Ben with a chip over the top, but one of their players just about gets there, but Ben does make that cover tackle, and they go for an offload here, trying to get it wide. Their 14 then runs into traffic and gets tackled. Matlock now switching the play, the 15 gets on the outside, he's got a bit of a 2-on-1, I make that tackle and try and slow down the ball, which George holds one of their players up. It turns into a maul, which they do try to drive over, but we do hold it up and manage to get the penalty. Scrum for Walsall now comes out of the back into Ben, Ben into Nunny, Nunny spreads it to Hansen, into Dan, Dan then with a bit of open space, steps inside, gives it back to Hansen, who then is just caught up in a body of their defenders, comes back on the other side into Lucas, Lucas gives it to Callum, Callum then takes that in himself, but it's called back to a penalty, which Ben kicks to the corner. So Walsall, line out, great catch there from Matty James, comes back into George, George running back on that blind side, he's skipping through defenders, just handing them off, tries to get an offload, but then it does go loose, but into Lucas Cottrell, who secures that, back into Callum on another phase, and then it comes back a bit loose, but Ben catches that, gives it into Nunny, Nunny takes it in, offload to Bash, oh god, it's all going on. Then the ball comes quickly into Ben, Ben steps inside, hands off one of their players, gets an offload into Hansen, Hansen's caught up in traffic, runs back into the centre of the pitch and takes that in, then gets an offload to Mitch, Mitch gives a loose offload to Dan, Dan then steps outside, gives another offload to me, I take that and then just go down to ground, and then it comes back into Ben Cooper. Also looking good in their attack, but unfortunately we do lose that ball there, which we just caught this on camera, and Callum with a lovely tackle, big hit there, then was called back for a penalty. I'm not sure what it was for, but he got a yellow card. So now Walsall down to 14 men, Matlock on the attack in their own half. Some great tackles from Walsall and a great defensive turnover for Walsall to get another penalty. We go for the kick, and Mitch, has he got the distance? Just about short. So now a couple of minutes later now, Ben putting another kick through into space, into their 15, who then puts that up nice and high. Straight down my channel, it goes way over me. It's looking like it's gonna go dead, but this pitch was very muddy, very boggy. So I'll pick that up over our line, then give that into Hansen. Hansen then steps through one, finds a bit of open space. There's a gaps in their defense. Hansen's got the run. He's taking that in, gives a pass over to Ben. Ben takes that in himself. Then it comes back out to Bash. Bash takes that in, spinning through tackles, and he goes down. Then it comes back into Rich Wilson. Rich Wilson crashing that up. Unfortunately, we do lose the ball there, and Matlock are quick to attack. Their number 8 just runs through 2 of our players. He's running through, skips another tackle, bounces one, goes through again, and just gets over for a try. Not a good defence there from us, really. We did miss quite a lot of those tackles, and a great individual try from their number 8. They go for the kick, but they do miss the posts. Matlock scrum now, 8 to 9 into their 15. 15 puts a little kick over the top, putting us under pressure now, and Hansen is there to regather that, and then it comes back into Dan Carpenter. Dan then steps inside. He looks like he's got a bit of open space, then unfortunately does step out of the pitch. So Matlock with a line out now, good catch and drive. Walsall really good at defending. I think this is an improvement from the previous weeks. So now they're attacking in the centre of the field. A couple of minutes later now, Matlock with a scrum, and again using that right side of the pitch. They do get the offload into their winger now, who takes that in. However, they do knock it on, and Walsall get the scrum, which Ben clears, but only as far as their winger, who had stepped out of play. So good meters game for Walsall. Back into Ben. Ben then takes that into George. George crashes that up. Some more phases being built. Callum Hoy taking that in. Then it comes a little bit wider into Hansen. Hansen gives it to me. I've got 2 of those players. I'll just take that in. Bit of a high tackle there, but ref doesn't call that. Comes back into Rich then, and the ball is lost. However, we go back for a penalty for offside. So we're in the corner with a line out. Catch, we tried to drive, but they sack it immediately. Some quick pick and goes from the forwards. Then Cooper just taking that in. And then another one from Callum, literally holding up a lot of their players, gets them down. Comes out to Ben, Ben into Rob. Rob smashes through the middle and gets over the line for a try. However, the ref said that was held up. I mean, I get it's a hard angle to kind of see from, but if you watch it back, he did get over the line. So they go for a kick. Comes over to me, then I give it to Hansen. Hansen steps back inside, takes that into the middle. Then comes again, Ben trying to get some quick ball out the back into Rob. Rob then stepping against the grain, steps one, and bosh. Does get a high tackle there again. But then we go wide again. Ben flings a really wide pass into Dan. Dan steps inside. Then the ball coming back against the grain and into the centre of the pitch with Bash. Bash gets the offload into Callum. Callum just skipping through the tackles, taking 3 of them with him. Then Mitch with a quick ball into Ben. Ben finds the gap. Hansen then goes to run it in, and we do get our first try, which Mitch goes for the conversion. And unfortunately he does miss that as well. Matlock scrum now, it comes out to their 10. 10 gives it into their 13. Big tackle from the boys in the middle. And then another crash ball from their 5. George trying to hold him up, or just put him down there. And then they do go on the other side now. Walsall just really trying to defend on our own 22, and we do get a turnover. However, a couple of minutes later it is a Matlock line out, which they throw to the back. It goes a little bit loose but goes to George. George then crashing that in, just shoving off defenders. Then it comes into Ben. Ben into Bash. Bash into Lucas. Lucas just about gets 3 of the tackles and takes that in himself. Then it comes wide. Ben with a kick over the top, and it does go out. And that was the first half done. So first half we had left quite a lot of points on the table from the tee, and also we probably could have scored at least 1 more if we'd kind of just put that last pass together or waited a few more phases to actually get the try. But Matlock were not giving in. They were still completely in this game, and they were applying the pressure as much as us really. But I think Walsall's defence this week was very improved from the previous couple of weeks. So going into the second half now, Walsall really need to ramp things up, get ourselves on the try sheet to really take this game away. And straight from the off with a turnover, it comes into Ben. Ben takes that in himself, gets through a few tackles. It comes again into Nunny. Nunny steps, goes back inside himself, comes on the blind side then to George. George steps on the outside, but unfortunately he does go out of play. But Walsall really looking dangerous in attack. Now it's a Matlock line out. They do put a kick over the top, which then is our line out because it goes straight out. Nunny just crashing that in, taking it in himself, and the ref does call it back for a penalty there, which Mitch goes for the penalty, and he goes for the kick, and he does get that one. Now Matlock on the attack, switch there into their centre, who takes that in. It's a very strong run of theirs. Then the 10 taking that in himself. Some great tackles from Walsall. They do come back inside then, and unfortunately Callum with a knock on as he tries to catch the interception. They go to the corner. A couple of minutes later they've got a scrum, comes out into the 10. 10 then dummy switches into their 13. Some great tackles there, and then they're trying to spread it wide, but another inside ball, and they're literally 5 metres out now. They come wide again. More tackles from the boys. It's looking like Matlock are going to score. They're then switching it the other side. They're building some phases together and looking pretty dangerous, but it's called back to a penalty, which they do take and get the 3 points. Walsall scrum now in their 22, and Mitch then gives it out to Ben. Ben out wide to Nunny. Nunny into Dan, but unfortunately the ball is lost on that move. Then their centre then taking it in himself, again just showing he's a very strong runner. And then they go with a pick and go on that blind side. Just runs that into traffic. Now Matlock looking like they're building some good phases here, trying to exit their own half. They're looking to spread the pitch as much as they can, even though the conditions weren't the best. Both teams were making quite good use of the pitch really. It was quite dry, it was quite a nice day, so it wasn't too bad. But unfortunately the line out is lost there. They go for an exit, and they do regather the ball off the kick. Again on the attack with some strong runners, and he finds a gap. He's still going. He's entering our 22 now, gets the pass off. They try and spread it nice and wide, and then their 13 just runs that in, and they go again one more time on that blind side, but it was called back for a knock on. Ben with a kick. The boys are chasing that, trying to regather it, but Matlock do manage to get that ball back. Coming back into their centre, who's just crashing that in. Again, Matlock using that blind side, trying to make the pitch as wide as possible, then spreading the play, going wide again, back into their centre. Great tackle from Rob, building some phases, and Walsall were defending for probably about 10 minutes of this play, but some great defence it was. Then after Matlock's attack, they do manage to break through a few tackles, get a bit of an overlap, some good hands from them to put their winger away in the corner to get a try. which they go for the conversion, and they do miss that from the corner. So even more pressure on Walsall now. There's not long left of this game, and if we wanted to be in it, then we really needed to score pretty quickly. So Hansen here finding some space, very open gaps, and he's getting through, tries to get that offload into Rob. Rob picks it up. There is a 2-on-1, but he takes it himself. He's not going to like me saying that, but Matlock do get the ball and they kick the ball out. But the ball only goes as far as George, who George then picks that up, takes that in himself. Ball then comes back into Ben. Walsall still holding onto this possession. However, Matlock had won a penalty and they're 15. Goes to put that out but misses touch, goes straight into Ben. Ben with a kick over the top, nice and high, putting them under the pressure, which they do fumble. But then they do manage to keep the possession somehow. Their 15 skips through a few tackles, comes back into their number 3. The ball is all over the place, and is called back for a scrum for Walsall. And we do win a scrum penalty there, which we go for a kick, and it's a long one, and unfortunately Ben doesn't have the legs for that one, so it's back into Matlock, who put the kick over the top, again going straight to Ben with another little chip over the top, but Matlock regather that and they have possession. But under the pressure they put another kick through, straight into Hansen. Hansen then opening it up, finds that space again, is running through, and one of their players there with a no arms tackle. If you just watch that again, that was a big shot, but he did injure himself whilst doing it, so he did go off the pitch. Walsall scrum now, and it comes out the back to Callum. Callum then just taking that in himself. We are entering their 22 now, putting the pressure on. Ben spreads it wide into Jeff. Jeff out to Hansen. Hansen then takes that in but does get tackled out. Matlock with the scrum now, out to their 15, who then tries to clear that and does get the ball out. But Walsall with the line out, back into Ben. Ben into Nunny. Nunny steps inside, breaks through the tackles. Then it comes back into Hansen. Hansen stepping inside again, and there was a penalty there. So Mitch again going for the kick. It was a very hard one, and there's a couple of minutes left, but we don't make it. So Matlock back in possession, but they put a kick through, and Hansen is there in the backfield to cover it. So he picks that up, spreads that nice and wide into Ben. Ben then steps inside, looking for the space. He takes that in himself, gets the offload into Isaac. Isaac just coming in off the bench, take that in. Then a bounce pass into Lucas. Lucas taking that one in. Then it comes wide, gives that out to Jeff. Jeff gets round one of their players, then gets an offload into Mitch. Mitch into Matt. Matty taking that in. Quick ball then into Ben. Ben gives that into Callum. Callum just taking their players with him, smashing through, gets the offload into Simon Weaver, and Weaver touches down for the try in the last couple of minutes of this game. It's not often you see a prop scoring the winning try, which Mitch nice and easily converted. Then into the dying minutes of the game, Walsall literally holding on now. This is a one-try game. Matlock trying to keep possession, trying to get out of their own half, and Weaver there with a knock-on. So after he just scored his try, he then got a yellow card, got sent off. So Matlock here with their fullback running through, trying to get something out of this game. There's 5 points in it, but Walsall with some great defence ended up with a scrum, which Ben kicks out, and that was the game there. So the game ended there, 18-13 to Walsall, and what a performance it was away from home. A very hard place to go away from home, but a win is a win, and we go into next week. Now it's quite lucky that my SD card had corrupted, because we had the coach journey back, which was a social. It was a bin bag social, the bag of death, where we all get cans, we pick out cans after Downham, and there were some naked Spider-Men and singing, so it's probably best off that my SD card corrupted. But it was a funny coach trip nonetheless. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment your favourite part in the comments below. So from me and another matchday vlog, I'll see you in the next video.